They grabbed her arm like she was some common thief. Can you believe it? This area is for first class only. The agent barked, his voice slicing through the terminal like a whip, loud enough to make heads turn and hearts stop. She didn't even flinch. No, Danielle Monroe just handed over her boarding pass 1A, bold and verified, a golden ticket they couldn't deny, or so you'd think. We'll need to reconfirm, he sneered, already waving security over like she was a threat to be neutralized. And just like that, within seconds, a black woman was being escorted away in silence, treated like a criminal while the white guy behind her, the type strolled through without a second glance. Humiliation? Sure. But a mistake? Oh no. They had no idea who they were messing with. Picture this. Nobody at that gate, not the smug staff, not the gawking passengers, not even the supervisor barking orders like a king, had the faintest clue that the woman they just tried to shame wasn't just some random traveler. She wasn't just a name on a ticket. Danielle Monroe owned more of their future than their precious CEO ever dreamed of clutching in his manicured hands. And now, their downfall was ticking like a time bomb she'd already lit. This wasn't about a seat or a boarding pass anymore. Oh no, this was about power, raw and undeniable. Who really holds the reins when the masks come off? You're about to find out. It was one of those crisp early mornings at LaGuardia, 6:15 a.m. The kind that whispers efficiency with every breath of cool air outside. Inside Terminal C, soft fluorescent lights buzzed awake, casting a glow over business travelers who moved like clockwork, luggage gliding, coats crisp and tailored, shoes clicking in a symphony of routine. Among them strode Danielle Monroe, draped in understated black, her structured wool coat hugging her frame, a slim briefcase swinging confidently in her hand. Calm? Yes. Focused? Absolutely. Her flight to Zurich was set to lift off at 8:10, and for someone who danced across more time zones than the staff she'd face today, the airport wasn't a thrill. It was a battlefield of transactions, checkpoints, and clearances she'd mastered long ago. But hold on, something was off from the second she hit that first-class counter. The employee behind the kiosk didn't even bother with a hello. No smile, no scan, nothing. He just flicked his eyes up, clocked the color of her skin, can you imagine, and pointed left like she was lost. Economy check-ins? That way, he grunted. Danielle blinked. Did she hear that right? I'm flying first class, she said, cool as ice, flashing her digital pass to Zurich like a badge of honor. But did he look? Nope. Arms still out, eyes already sliding to the next in line, he muttered. Left lane, ma'am. Dismissed just like that. She didn't budge. This is my lane, she stated, firm but calm, letting the truth hang there like a challenge. His jaw tightened. Someone didn't like being corrected. Please step aside, he snapped. Danielle paused, shifted her weight, and watched as a white guy in a light blazer, mid-40s, leather duffel, oozing privilege, sauntered up beside her. The attendant, all smiles now, scanned his pass, offered still or sparkling water like he was a VIP. Danielle stood there, unreadable, taking it all in. She didn't argue, she's smarter than that. She stepped back, circled around, and hit the premium member kiosk herself. Take that. Finally, an agent scanned her pass and chirped, "Oh, you're in 1A. That's a nice seat." No sorry, no nod to the insult she'd just swallowed, just casual chit-chat. Danielle didn't waste her breath replying. She grabbed her printed ticket and marched toward security, head high. But the hits kept coming. The TSA lanes split general boarding left, pre-check and priority right. With global entry and a Nexus pass in her arsenal, Danielle veered right, ready to breeze through. The young agent there, all bland politeness, scanned her pass, checked her ID, then plot twist paused. "You've been randomly selected for standard screening," he said, shrugging like it was no big deal. Danielle eyed the green light blinking on the scanner random. Huh? That doesn't make sense, she countered. I'm TSA pre-check and global entry approved. His response? A lazy system must have kicked out. She glanced sideways, bam. A white woman in heels and a fancy jacket glided through. No questions. Then a guy in a Patriots cap. No random checks for them. Danielle was herded to the general line, her bag yanked for inspection again. The agent? Slow as molasses, unzipping her laptop case, pawing through her tablet, charger, and sealed confidential. Horizon Capital docs without gloves, no less. You work in finance? He tossed out, all smug. She didn't bite. You got a lot of paper for someone going digital, he jabbed. That's because I manage things most people don't see, she shot back, flat and fierce. He smirked, sure you do, while a supervisor breezed by, ignoring her, and a traveler stared but stayed mute. Danielle repacked her stuff herself and strode off silent, but seething. Next stop, the lounge elevator. The sign screamed Havanire First Class plus Platinum only. She tapped her pass red light. The receptionist frowned. This says you're not cleared for lounge access. Danielle leaned in, check again, buddy. You'll need to speak to guest services, the woman dodged, already eyeing the next person. Danielle whipped out her phone, flashing her verified receipt. Hesitation then. Must be a glitch, I'll override it. 3 tries later, she was in. Inside, she sat by the window, tablet in hand, spine straight, breathing steady. 8 countries this year, Brussels, Singapore, Doha, she'd cleared it all. But this sting of rejection? Only at home, in the glances, the hesitations, the unspoken you don't belong. She sipped her water, checked Zurich's weather, and braced for the next shove. Fast forward, Danielle stepped from the gate counter, humiliation clawing at her throat. The gate, sealed tight, her name, wiped from the manifest like she'd never existed. 7:03 a.m. She didn't miss her flight. It dumped her. She hit a self-service kiosk, punching in her details to reclaim her spot. The screen blinked, spat out a pass 32B. Economy, middle seat. Her stomach flipped. What? She tapped again, seating assigned. No help at the service desk. Trent was gone, staff shuffling like she was invisible. This wasn't a glitch, it was a knife, slicing her from first class to nobody. She checked a seating map 32B, back by the toilets, the overflow dump no one wanted. Deliberate. Jaw clenched, she stormed to the lounge corridor counter, demanding a liaison. We'll escalate this, the agent mumbled, eyes glued to her screen. File a tech report, but the manifest's locked. Unlock it, Danielle fired back. The agent flinched. Oops, didn't expect that. We don't have access, she stammered. Find someone who does. A scribbled number slid over call guest relations. I'm not calling, I'm here, and I'm not moving. Danielle spun away, charging for the premier lounge. Scanner beeped reclassified to main cabin, no access. Check again, she insisted. Updated 15 minutes ago, the receptionist sighed. Danielle burned inside but hid it, pivoting to the dining corner, her meal, ordered days ago for medical needs. Gone. Not on the catering sheet, the host shrugged, while a guy snagged her vegan platter. No food, no seat, no dignity, erased bit by bit. But surrender? Never. She sat, phone out, mind racing, escalate or wait. Vigilance 1. A security guy loomed, carry-on flagged, sent to check luggage. It cleared security, she protested. Best interest of passengers, he shrugged. Best for who? She marched to the checkpoint, same song, different verse. Where's my bag? She demanded. No tag, no trace. The TSA guy smirked. Then bam! A Havanire woman with a pouch? Your watch counterfeit check. Are you serious? Danielle snapped. It's mine insured. Open it, they pressed. No, escalate it. They froze. She grabbed her Patek Philippe, flashing the serial numbers. Log your apologies, she hissed. The tension crackled, everyone watching now. The gate loomed ahead, her pass still 32B, a silent insult. Trent, all smug, blocked her. Not cleared, he purred. You took my seat, she fired back. Security nudged her away. Cooperation, please. Don't touch me, she warned, stepping free. Then her phone buzzed. It's time. One call, full withdrawal, disengage. The dominoes fell, exec scrambled, flight stalled, $615 million vanished. Trent, clueless, then crushed resignation or ruin. Orion buckled, stock crashed, contracts died. Danielle? She walked away, head high, a queen who'd rewritten the game. The sting of that watch confrontation clung to her like a shadow, didn't it? The air around Danielle Monroe crackled with tension. A static charge that made every step feel like a defiance of the invisible chains they were trying to wrap around her. She wasn't just a traveler anymore. Oh no, she was a threat. A force they couldn't contain, no matter how hard they tried. The employees at LaGuardia's Terminal C watched her now with wary eyes, their caution barely hidden, as if her very presence was a glitch in their carefully coded system. Can you imagine? A black woman daring to exist where they didn't expect her, throwing their algorithms into chaos. She moved with purpose. Back to Gate 12, her boarding pass, now a humiliating 32B, a far cry from the 1A seat she'd rightfully claimed. That first-class seat was now just a ghost, a silent insult scrawled in invisible ink, mocking her every step. How could they do this to her? The seating area near the gate was buzzing with travelers, some sprawled across chairs, others hunched over laptops, a few frantically charging phones in the last available outlets. Danielle scanned the crowd, her sharp eyes landing on a corner seat near a power socket. Perfect. She needed her phone charged to salvage what was left of her day. Her business wasn't going to wait. She settled in, plugged in her charger, and placed her phone on the armrest, her fingers brushing the cool metal as she tried to focus. 1 minute passed. 2. She opened her calendar, her mind racing to reroute her plans. But before she could even glance at her Zurich itinerary bomb, a voice cut through her thoughts like a knife. Ma'am, a young male ground staff worker said from behind, his tone dripping with authority he hadn't earned. I'm going to have to ask you to move. Danielle turned her head slowly, her gaze piercing. Excuse me, she said, her voice calm but laced with steel. That seat's marked for priority business travelers, he replied, as if she was some clueless tourist. Priority? Oh, please. She looked at the outlet, then the blank wall, then the empty seat beside her. Nobody was clamoring for it. I am a business traveler, she shot back, her words deliberate, each one a challenge. Not according to the manifest, he said, shrugging like it was her fault. This section's reserved. Reserved? For who? There's no signage, she pointed out, her voice steady but sharp. No rope. No posted restriction. He blinked, caught off guard. We've had internal updates, he mumbled, as if that explained everything. Danielle's smile was cold, brittle, like ice cracking under pressure. Is that your explanation? She asked, letting the words hang in the air. He faltered, muttering, I'm just doing what my lead told me. Just following orders, huh? She stood, unplugged her charger with deliberate slowness, letting the silence stretch until it was uncomfortable. Nearby travelers glanced up, sensing the tension. She didn't say another word. She didn't need to. She walked away without asking permission, her steps measured, settling into a row farther from the gate where the only outlet was busted and the armrest was sticky with who knows what. Disgusting. But this wasn't about comfort. It was about position, about refusing to let them erase her. She didn't bother opening her laptop again. Not here. Not now. The air felt too heavy, too charged with their attempts to push her out. Instead, she rose, her resolve like a fire in her chest, and headed toward the first-class lounge she'd passed earlier. Oh, that lounge. Its glass facade gleamed under warm lighting, leather chairs beckoning, baristas in crisp vests bustling about. It was a sanctuary she deserved. But as she approached, her steps slowed, cautious. A row of polished shelves near the entrance caught her eye, stacked with glossy travel magazines and industry journals. She reached for one, an Aerospace Quarterly, its cover featuring a woman she recognized, not herself, but a former protege now shining in aviation analytics. A spark of pride flickered in her chest as she held the magazine, the name on the cover settling like a quiet victory in her palm. "Ma'am," a voice interrupted, low and awkward, shattering the moment. She turned to face a tall man in a dark blazer, his name tag screaming client relations like it gave him power. "That publication is for Platinum members only," he said, tilting his chin toward the magazine as if she'd grabbed something forbidden. "Platinum only? Seriously?" Danielle's gaze didn't waver. "I'm first class," she said, her voice unwavering. "Platinum is above that. My boarding class doesn't matter, my name should." He reached out undeterred. "I'm afraid the policy is clear," he said, as if she was a child caught with a toy she couldn't have. She handed him the magazine, her eyes locked on his, unflinching. He slid it back onto the shelf like he was disarming a weapon ridiculous. She didn't speak, just stepped around him and strode into the lounge, her head high. Inside, she approached the refreshment bar, reaching for a glass of cucumber-infused water, simple, refreshing, hers for the taking. Or so she thought. Another staff member swooped in, all business. "Can I see your lounge credentials?" Danielle handed over her boarding pass, expecting a quick scan. The woman frowned, her eyes flicking to the screen. "Your access has been revoked, ma'am. I'm sorry." "Revoked?" Danielle blinked, stunned. "Revoked?" she repeated, her voice low but edged with disbelief. "It appears your ticket has been downgraded," the woman said, as if it was no big deal. "Downgraded? By who? You downgraded me?" Danielle snapped, her calm cracking just enough to show the fire beneath. "I didn't request this." The woman shrugged, detached. "We don't have discretion over ticketing." Danielle took a breath, her words slicing through the air. "You have discretion over who you humiliate, and you've used it well." The woman stayed silent, and Danielle turned, exiting the lounge without another word, her heart pounding with righteous fury. The walls seemed to close in now, didn't they? The air felt thicker, heavier, like the terminal itself was trying to suffocate her. This wasn't just isolation, it was erasure. They weren't just delaying her, they were stripping her of space, of status, of visibility. She stepped into the main hall, blinking against the harsh fluorescence. No longer Danielle Monroe, the powerhouse who commanded government panels and investor calls. No, now she was just the black woman who dared to ask for too much, who stood too long, who claimed what was hers too clearly. Can you feel the weight of that injustice? Her eyes locked with Trent's across the terminal, standing near a kiosk, arms folded, his gaze cold and calculated, like a puppet master watching his plan unfold perfectly. He didn't move, didn't signal, just stared, his message clear as day. You don't belong here. An anomaly to be purged. Danielle turned her back on him without a second thought, her defiance a silent roar as she headed to the seating near her downgraded gate, still listed as a standby passenger for a flight she'd never agreed to change. The gate screen flashed on time, mocking her further. A woman nearby shoved her suitcase too hard and it toppled, blocking the aisle. Danielle, exhausted from circling the airport 3 times already, stood instinctively to help, struggling with the heavy metal-framed bag. Did anyone help? Of course not. Not the 2 young guys glued to their phones. Not the older woman sipping coffee through her aviators. And definitely not the Haveneer staff member in his black vest, standing just steps away. "Could you give me a hand with this?" she asked him, her voice firm but polite. He blinked, turned his head, and walked off like she didn't even exist. Unbelievable! Danielle inhaled sharply, hauling the bag upright herself. setting it beside a support beam. The woman who dropped it nodded, distracted, as if Danielle's effort was just a minor fix. No thanks, no acknowledgement, just another slight. In a day full of them. Danielle sat back down, wiping her palm on her slacks, her heart beating slower but heavier, like it was carrying the weight of every insult. Her breath echoed deep in her chest, a quiet storm brewing. That moment wasn't violent, wasn't loud, but it was public, deliberate, and silent in the most dangerous way. Can you imagine the sting of that rejection over and over? Minutes ticked by. A cart rolled through, its young driver flashing a fake smile as he handed out juice boxes, snack bars, and water bottles. He skipped Danielle entirely, didn't even glance her way. She waited, then raised a hand as he circled back. "Could I get a bottle of water?" she asked, her voice plain but firm. The cart stopped, and he checked his clipboard, frowning. "What's your name?" "Danielle Monroe," she replied, holding his gaze. He scanned the manifest, his frown deepening. "You're not on the registered priority list. Water isn't a priority item. Priority? For a bottle of water? It's basic hospitality," she countered, her tone sharp with truth. He leaned in, lowering his voice like he was sharing a dirty secret. "We've had issues with disruptive passengers recently. Management asked us to be selective." Danielle's eyes narrowed. Oh, she knew exactly what this was. "Are you suggesting I've been disruptive?" she asked, her voice ablade. "I didn't say that," he backpedaled, flustered. "Just following instructions." "Whose instructions?" She pressed, but he didn't answer. Just flashed that tight, practiced smile and rolled away, leaving her parched not for water, but for dignity. Across from her, a middle-aged man in cargo shorts muttered, "Always a problem, huh?" Loud enough for her to hear. His wife nudged him, but no one called him out. The silence was deafening, wasn't it? Her phone buzzed in her lap, a message from her assistant glowing on the screen. "Zurich prep deck finalized. PDF and print copies confirmed. Hotel rebooked. We're good to go on your arrival." Danielle stared at it, the words mocking her reality. Arrival? She wasn't even close to a gate that recognized her. She'd slipped through a crack carved just for her, a trap designed to make her vanish. The seat, the bag, the watch, the water, the silence, and now this insinuation, a label they wouldn't say out loud, but everyone felt. Difficult, uncooperative, troublemaker. A woman whose presence sparked friction, not because of what she said, but because she refused to disappear. Who could endure that kind of pressure? She stood slowly, walking to a vending machine by the window, sliding her card in. Declined. Again declined. She tried the cooler by the gate agent station. Only for active first-class passengers. The clerk droned, not even looking up. Danielle didn't argue, she turned away, her steps heavy but resolute, passing rows of passengers who eyed her like a puzzle they didn't want to solve. She didn't look angry or broken, but permanent, like she was rooted to the spot, unyielding. They couldn't make her leave. Behind the scenes, whispers and keystrokes sealed her fate. Tag her as special attention. Code 37, see history of defiance. Flag for behavior, someone hissed, barely audible but dripping with intent. Danielle didn't hear it, but she felt it, the shift in the air, the flicker of suspicion in every glance, the way staff checked her face, then their screens, then her again like she was a liability. A passenger? No, a problem. At the desk, Trent leaned into his supervisor's earpiece, murmuring something dark. The man nodded, tapping his screen, and a red note flashed beside her name. Priority suppression. Monitor interaction defer resolution. Limit escalation channels. From that moment, every scan of her name would show that digital scar, a customer to be managed, not helped, a glitch to erase. Unaware of their maneuvers, Danielle marched to the information desk, her mission clear. Find her stolen carry-on. "I need to trace a bag pulled without authorization," she said, calm but firm. "No tag, no claim number, I need it now." The woman behind the counter raised an eyebrow, scanned her pass, and frowned. "It's in transit to the cargo bay," she said, eyes glued to her screen. "Nothing we can do. Transit? To where?" "Which aircraft?" Danielle demanded. "I've been bumped from my flight. I haven't boarded. Where's my bag going?" The woman hesitated, clicking aimlessly. "The system doesn't show that." Danielle's voice sharpened. "Then your system's broken. Find someone who knows." Another employee, a smug guy in his mid-30s, cut in. "If it's not under a confirmed seat, it's a discretionary hold." "Meaning?" she snapped. "It might not be loaded, might go to claims or back to origin if unresolved." Her heart thudded. Those were private contracts, sensitive electronics, irreplaceable documents. "I need it found," she insisted. He smirked. "Maybe you should have packed smarter." The words hit like a slap, sharp and deliberate. She stepped back, fists clenched, then steadied her voice. "Give me your name." "Right here," he taunted, tapping his badge. "Complain to guest services." "Not me." She memorized his name, turned, and walked away, her breath tight, her resolve ironclad. At baggage claim, a younger staffer motioned to a side door. "Something came back from gate 17, might be yours." Hope flickered as she followed a handler into a dingy room, bins and racks overflowing with lost items. There, by a mop bucket, sat her bag's sleek black leather, now streaked with dirt. Unzipped, one corner battered like it'd been dragged through hell. She dropped to her knees, checking inside, tablet gone, folders bent, papers damp, her watch box soaked and warped. Her heart sank, but she stood, gripping the handle, and faced the handler. "How'd this get here?" He shrugged. "Code tag probably misread, or deliberate." She didn't argue, just wheeled the bag out, her fingers aching from her grip. The damage was done. Outside, she hit a kiosk to file a damage report, but her boarding pass scan froze the screen. "This profile has been flagged. Contact airline representative, flagged." She stood frozen, the terminal's noise swirling around her. They'd locked her out, digitally silenced her. The system monitors, memos, terminals wasn't for resolution anymore. It was a cage, and she was trapped beneath it. Across the hall, Trent's voice floated, light and dismissive, as he ushered a white couple into the lounge, his hand waving like a showman. He caught her gaze, then looked through her like she was nothing. She approached the TSA checkpoint again, same one she'd cleared hours ago, only to be flagged by a new agent, all fake cheer. "Ma'am, we need a secondary screening. Quick random check." "Random? Ha! I've already been through this," she said, her hand tight on her bag. "An additional protocol," he chirped. "Nothing about today has been random," she fired back. "And this won't be either." He motioned to a table where two female agents waited, latex gloves on, ready to pounce. Danielle walked over, her pace regal, like a queen entering a battlefield not out of fear, but necessity. They told her to raise her arms, she did. The wand passed over her, silent, no beeps, no buzzes. Then the pat-down began, routine at first, until the younger agent's hands slowed at her waist, pressing too hard, lingering too long along her pants seam. Danielle flinched. "That's not standard," she snapped. The agent ignored her, moving to her inner thigh, brushing too far, too deliberately. "Enough!" Danielle's voice cracked, steady but fierce. "That's not a pat-down, that's harassment." The agent looked up, cold and detached. "You're delaying the process." "I'm ending it," Danielle shot back. "You've crossed the line." A supervisor strolled over, unfazed. "Is there a problem?" "Yes," Danielle said, sharp as glass. "You're manufacturing one." She grabbed her bag, zipped it, and walked off before they could stop her, her heart racing with defiance. The Zurich flight's boarding call echoed faintly, and she checked the gate screen, still standby for 32B, a seat she knew they'd never give her. Erased in real time. but she marched to the gate as Group 1 boarded, refusing to let them rewrite her story without facing her. In the priority line, her posture was pure steel, every inch of her screaming control. Trent stood at the podium, clipboard in hand, his smile polished, flanked by lackeys and security. "I'm sorry, Miss Monroe," he said, raising a hand. "Your name isn't cleared for boarding." "I never canceled my flight," she countered, flashing her pass and ID. "You took my seat, removed due to a boarding conflict." He lied smoothly. "You're not on the main cabin list, either there's a hold on your profile." "A hold you placed," she accused. "Arbitrarily. Illegally." A security officer stepped closer. "Ma'am, return to the seating area until this is resolved." "Resolved?" she echoed, incredulous. "You've locked me out, humiliated me, stripped my rights, and now you want me to sit quietly while you finish the job?" The officer's hand grazed her shoulder, guiding her back. "Just cooperation," he said. She froze. The terminal froze with her. That light touch was everything, turning dehumanization into containment. She stepped free, precise and fierce. "Don't touch me again," she warned, her voice low but lethal. The air crackled with tension, passengers watching, some discreetly filming. Trent motioned to another officer, boxing her out. "Escort, miss." "Monroe to concourse seating," he ordered. "She's flagged for review." "Review of what?" she demanded, knowing the answer: nothing, or whatever they wanted. They didn't just want her gone, they needed her broken. She was nudged back as the gate opened for others, a mom with a stroller, a guy with an espresso, a teen with headphones, all gliding past like she was invisible. Danielle stood firm, the officers like walls closing in on a story they wanted silenced. Her phone buzzed a call she ignored, letting it ring out as Trent tapped his screen with smug finality. "Clear the line," he barked over his shoulder. "We've got a schedule." "Schedule? What about justice?" She scanned the terminal, not for escape, but for leverage. Her voice wasn't heard yet, but her presence was a shout. She adjusted her coat, shrugging off their metaphorical handprint, and stepped back to see the gate fully. Then her phone vibrated again, not a call, but a secure notification. Her eyes lit up, sharp with purpose. She tapped the screen, lifted the phone, and whispered 2 words. "It's time." Oh, the power in those words. "It's time," she repeated. And the voice on the other end snapped to attention. No chatter, no hesitation. Understood. Activating position. Danielle closed her eyes for a split second, steadying the storm within, then unleashed her command. Full withdrawal. Sovereign fund, domestic holdings, block all Orion negotiations. Disengage now. A pause. A nod. Then the call ended. The lever was pulled. She lowered the phone, her stride electric as she passed the officers, who didn't dare stop her. Her stillness was gone, replaced by a storm humming just below the surface, a queen ready to topple an empire. And oh, how it fell. Danielle Monroe strode toward the airline help desk with a fire in her chest. Can you feel the weight of her resolve? The counter was cluttered with glossy brochures and pristine laminated signs proclaiming, "We're here to help." But oh, how hollow those words rang. A woman in a crisp blazer sat typing, oblivious to the storm about to hit. Danielle didn't hesitate. She placed a manila folder on the counter, its edge clicking sharply against the surface like a gavel demanding attention. "I need you to deliver this to Mr. Leonard Westbrook, VP of International Operations," she said, her voice steady but charged with urgency. "It's critical. Confirm delivery now." The woman blinked, startled, clearly unaccustomed to being treated like a courier. Was she ready for this? Danielle leaned forward, her gaze piercing. "Tell him this file holds 3 months of secret internal behavior audits from 5 major U.S. terminals, all implicating Havenair personnel and executive oversight. It's explosive." The woman's posture snapped to attention, her hand reaching for the folder, but Danielle held firm, not letting go just yet. Time-stamped reports, employee IDs, passenger complaints, digital logs if Westbrook doesn't confirm receipt in 15 minutes. This goes public. Understand? Only then did she release the folder, her eyes never wavering. The gauntlet was thrown. Across the terminal, Danielle's sharp eyes caught a flurry of movement near a corner office by Gate D6 executives clustering like ants under a magnifying glass. Their faces were drawn, phones glued to ears, steps quick and jagged as they scrambled. They were being briefed, weren't they? The storm she'd unleashed had hit the control tower, and oh, it was glorious. She took her seat by the window, facing the terminal's pulsing heart, where every screen flickered with boarding updates, gate changes, and one tiny alert most travelers would overlook: operational delay. Flight 882 to Zurich. Standby adjustment under review. Subtle, but inside the airline's network, red flags were erupting like fireworks. Somewhere in their digital web, her profile was under scrutiny by someone with clearance far above Trent's pathetic rank, someone who just fielded calls from a Zurich investment office, a DC compliance attorney, maybe even the Department of Transportation itself, all triggered by an automatic clause tied to financial chaos among their vendors. Can you imagine the panic? Trent Maxwell, blissfully clueless, carried on at Gate 12, barking orders to block profiles, shuffle manifests, and re-verify already confirmed priority access. Business as usual? Hardly. Beneath his smug confidence, cracks were showing. His breath came short. His words stumbled, repeating instructions like a broken record. Something was off, wasn't it? He felt the ground shifting but couldn't pinpoint why. Poor fool. Danielle watched, her phone buzzing again, this time with an encrypted message that sent a jolt through her. Initiated contracts withdrawn. Estimated financial loss, $615 million over 5 fiscal quarters. Westbrook notified. Response pending. She read it, locked the screen, and leaned back, her face unreadable. Anger? That was too messy. This was precision, a surgical strike. Was she unstoppable, or what? From her coat pocket, she drew a sleek device, scanned her thumb, and authorized a final relay summaries prepped weeks ago, packed with legal evaluations, contract breaches, and raw testimonials from passengers who'd faced the same indignities, some silenced, others bought off. These were her ace, her leverage if Haveneer ever dared cross her. Today, they hadn't just crossed the line, they'd obliterated it. She tapped a secure contact, legal counsel for the equity partner driving Haveneer's Asia-Pacific expansion, and sent a chilling message: pause all negotiations. Primary U.S. stakeholder has disengaged. Reason: discriminatory protocol breach. No need to wait for a reply, the collapse was already in motion. Who could stop her now? Beyond the gates, a man in a gray suit emerged from a private elevator marked authorized only. His face pale as death, jaw clenched, phone gripped so tightly his knuckles gleamed white. Leonard Westbrook. Danielle knew him instantly. They'd crossed paths once at a World Trade Ethics conference, where he dismissed her as just another suit asking tough compliance questions. But today? Oh, today he saw her in the concourse and froze, his eyes wide with realization. Their gazes locked and his face crumpled not in anger, but in dread. He hurried over, voice shaky. "Miss Monroe," he started, but she raised a hand, still seated, regal as a queen. "You've been briefed," she said, cool and commanding. "I have," he stammered, breathless. "The materials are comprehensive." "So is the problem," she shot back. "Systemic, cultural, baked into your silence and protocols." He tried to deflect. "This wasn't executive approved." "I believe you," she countered, "but you let it fester. And now it's over." "Over? Can you feel the finality?" "Please, give us time to investigate," he pleaded. "You have until the next flight," she said, her voice like steel. "After that, your brand's dust." He stared, speechless, then turned, retreating to a conference room behind frosted glass, where silhouettes of a dozen executives danced in frantic chaos, pacing, gesturing, flipping papers in a futile bid to look busy as their world crumbled. Danielle rose, her phone buzzing again. She answered with one word: proceed. No fanfare, no hesitation. She slipped the phone back into her coat, her movements smooth, tension gone, like a chess master who just checkmated her opponent. Was this her moment of triumph? Across the concourse, the frosted glass walls of that briefing room pulsed with desperation figures darting, hands waving, documents flying in a pointless frenzy against the inevitable. Danielle barely glanced their way. The real pressure point wasn't there, it was below, where Trent Maxwell still strutted at gate 12, issuing calm orders, tweaking boarding lists, oblivious to the terminal's systems grinding to a halt. His arrogance was his shield, wasn't it? But it was wearing thin. A sharp call crackled through his radio. Maxwell, Concourse Ops needs you in boardroom B now. He frowned, adjusted his earpiece, and muttered, "Copy that," his casual tone betraying a flicker of unease. His assistant caught it. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Routine check-in," he lied, flashing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Cover me." He marched toward the restricted corridor, clueless that the door ahead was his career's guillotine. Boardroom B was a ghost of a room, untouched for 3 years since a bomb threat locked down the terminal. Today, it was reborn for a different disaster, a reputational explosion nobody saw coming. The air inside was stale, heavy with dread. 2 regional directors sat sternly on one side, a legal advisor flown in on the 6 a.m., Reed-Eye on the other. A dossier labeled confidential, Monroe investigation files glaring from the table. Trent sauntered in, still cocky. "What's this about?" he asked, breezy as ever. The woman at the table's head didn't bother with pleasantries. She flipped the dossier's top page toward him and asked, icy and even, "Do you know who Danielle Monroe is?" Trent smirked. Passenger with a chip on her shoulder. "Made a scene. We're handling it." The room went deathly quiet. The second director leaned in, voice like a blade. "She's not just a passenger. She's the primary investor behind 3 of our biggest contracts, controls Horizon Equity voting shares, holds veto rights through Nexus Strategic Holdings, and just yanked $600 million in capital support." Trent blinked, stunned. "That's impossible." "It happened 15 minutes ago," the man snapped. "It's hitting the dot, FAA, and international boards. Reporters are at the doors. We've grounded flights to buy time." The legal advisor piled on. "She's got you on video. Maxwell witnesses too. You didn't just discriminate, you orchestrated it, flagged her account, stole her seat, erased her dietary needs, blocked her boarding, and faked a TSA alert." Was he sweating yet? Trent froze, his cool facade melting. "I followed protocol," he mumbled. "You followed bias," the director roared. "Systematically. That dossier lists 24 others, same profile, same tricks, same tags. You built a trail." The advisor slid a white envelope toward him. "2 options. Sign this resignation and liability waiver, or we release your name to the media with a full account of your actions." Trent stared at the envelope like it was a bomb, his hands still, his mouth opening then closing. 30 minutes, the woman said. "Then we assume option 2. They left him alone, the digital clock above ticking silently, his breath uneven, skin clammy in the cold room. Was his world crashing down? Outside, the terminal hummed with a rhythm no longer his to control. Danielle sat at its core, her gaze fixed on the floor tiles, as if she could see the rot beneath the polished surface. Across the hall, a Havenire PR officer fiddled with a Bluetooth headset, scribbling buzzwords: strategic pivot, compassionate statement, diversity summit, but the real storm was still brewing. Trent stood, grabbing the envelope, then tossing it aside like it burned. He rubbed his face, gripped the table, and stared at the frosted glass door, a wall sealing his fate. He inhaled, grabbed his phone, and typed frantically. But no one cared anymore. For the first time in 15 years, Trent Maxwell's words were worthless. At Gate 12, the boarding lane reopened. But he wasn't calling the shots. Then it happened. The overhead speakers crackled, freezing everyone mid-step. A firm, unfamiliar voice boomed, clear and commanding. Attention all passengers. Effective immediately. All Orion Air International flights are suspended for administrative re-evaluation. Updates at service desks. Chaos erupted. Phones flew out, voices clashed, gate agents stood paralyzed, and screens flipped from green to red with delay notices. Danielle stood calm amidst the storm, not smug, not surprised, just centered. Like the chaos was the inevitable sum of her equation. She'd warned them, hadn't she? They didn't listen, and now the sky was falling. Across town, in a federal office near Capitol Hill, the Department of Transportation's legal counsel faxed a cancellation letter to Orion Air's headquarters. $2. $1 billion contract military transport, diplomatic flights, logistics for 10 nations gone. Why? Breaches of non-discrimination clauses, civil rights probes, and transparency failures. In hours, Orion went from aviation titan to a cautionary tale. By noon the next day, their stock tanked 18%, vaporizing $900 million in value. Pundits on TV scrambled to explain how one woman, no entourage, no cameras, toppled a giant with a phone call and a folder. But Danielle didn't need flash, she wielded precision, documenting, not protesting, striking with surgical force. In a drab room on Orion's third floor, a press conference began. No banners, no podium, no cheers. CEO Bryce Hammond stood alone, pale under harsh lights, voice tight as he read his statement. For too long, we've chased scale over ethics, thinking tradition excused culture, that systems would fix themselves. We were wrong. Today, conscience holds us accountable. He paused, searching for words in the silence. We're suspending operations for a full overhaul, leadership resignations, public audits. We'll share data, not just words, and we'll listen. He looked into the camera straight at her. To Miss Danielle Monroe, for the harm we caused, I offer not excuses, but recognition. Your refusal to vanish changed us, it should. The feed cut, lights dimmed, and silence swallowed the room. No applause, just truth. Back at the terminal, Danielle's phone pinged an email confirming her divestments were complete. Her legal team was sending whistleblower docs to Congress, while her PR firm turned down 5 major media interviews. Fame? She didn't want it. Function was her goal. She packed her tablet into a new leather bag, hand-delivered by a Nexus courier, and walked to Gate Doan, where a non-Orion flight to Geneva awaited. At the jet bridge, a young black woman whispered, Miss Monroe. Danielle turned, and the woman smiled shyly. I saw what happened. I work in flight systems, and because of you, I'm staying. Danielle nodded, no speech, just a shared spark. They boarded together. Months later, the industry shook new federal guidelines on discrimination logging. TSA accountability officers and leadership purges swept carriers like a reckoning. Orion limped back 6 months later, their clear skies, clear conscience slogan ringing hollow. Danielle never flew them again. She didn't need to. Her flight had already rewritten history. Oh, the fire in Danielle Monroe's story burns deep, doesn't it? It's a gut-punch reminder of the insidious racism that still festers in everyday spaces, from airport counters to corporate boardrooms. I'm enraged by how systems designed to serve can be weaponized to dehumanize, to erase someone's dignity just for existing as a black woman in a space deemed not hers. It's not just unfair, it's a moral failure that demands we scream for change. Danielle's refusal to vanish, her calculated precision in dismantling an empire of bias, fills me with awe and hope. This isn't just a story, it's a call to action. We must challenge these silent, coded injustices that label people as problems for daring to claim their worth. I'm inspired by her strength, but heartbroken that she had to wield it at all. Why must anyone fight so hard to be seen as human? Socially, we've got to tear down these structures, policies, glances, and all that uphold discrimination. It's not enough to see ZITs can move on. We need accountability, not slogans. Danielle's triumph shows what's possible when courage meets power, but it also lays bare the exhausting reality for those navigating a world rigged against them. I'm all in for a society where no one has to be a superhero just to board a plane with respect. Let's demand transparency, dismantle biased protocols, and amplify voices like hers, because every ignored injustice is a wound we all carry. This story isn't just hers, it's ours, and I'm fired up to see it spark real change.